Ethan Cole had never trusted perfect things. The day the Galactic Alliance announced that every human would receive a personal alien companion, he had smiled politely, but kept his doubts quiet. The broadcast showed smiling humans standing beside tall, graceful beings from distant stars. The Alliance called it a bonding project. It's meant to bring unity between species and erase the walls that had divided civilizations for centuries. Ethan only saw another kind of control, wrapped in silver promises. He lived on Lunar Station 4, quiet maintenance outpost orbiting the gray side of Earth's moon. Life there was simple machines, air filters, and long silences. Ethan worked alone most days, fixing guidance systems and calibrating oxygen vents. When the shipment of companions finally arrived, the entire crew gathered at the docking bay like children waiting for gifts. Shiny transport pods opened one by one, revealing the alien partners assigned to each human. Ethan's assigned companion stepped forward without a word. Her skin had a faint silver shimmer, her eyes an impossible shade of violet that caught the cold station light. She wore a plain uniform that covered her from neck to boots. The name on her file read Lyra of Viren. Unlike the other companions, who smiled, laughed, and mimicked human gestures with surprising warmth, Lyra stood perfectly still. Her expression was unreadable, her tone calm and formal when she spoke. "Engineer Cole," she said softly, "I have been assigned to assist you. Do you accept my presence?" Ethan nodded, unsure how to answer. "I guess I don't have a choice, do I?" Her head tilted slightly. "Consent is considered polite," she said. Then she turned away to study the corridor as if it bored her. The others bonded fast. Within hours, the cafeteria was full of laughter and curious conversations, humans teaching aliens how to hold mugs or taste chocolate for the first time. Ethan watched from a distance, while Lyra sat beside him in silence. She didn't eat, didn't joke, and refused every attempt at small talk. When he tried asking about her homeworld, she gave short answers and changed the subject. During their first week together, Ethan noticed something odd. Every companion had been issued a lightweight suit adapted for station life, but Lyra never changed. She always wore the same Alliance uniform long-sleeved, sealed at the collar, gloves tight to her wrists. When the other companions joined the humans in the gym, wearing comfortable clothes, Lyra simply observed. Someone joked that she was too shy, but Ethan saw something else in her eyes when she refused. It wasn't embarrassment. It was fear. He didn't push her about it. Not yet. Life on Lunar Station continued. Systems hummed, airlocks hissed, and the Earth hung large and bright outside the viewing dome. Lyra proved efficient. She could recalibrate drones faster than most humans and seemed to predict when systems would fail before any alarm sounded. She spoke little, worked tirelessly, and disappeared into the databay during off hours. Ethan began to rely on her more than he wanted to admit. She wasn't friendly, but she was reliable and on a silent outpost like his. That mattered. Then the malfunctions started. At first it was minor. Communication relays flickered. Sensor arrays sent false readings. The navigation core rebooted in the middle of a cycle. Ethan spent nights tracing faults, but every diagnostic ended clean. The failures looked random until he noticed they always happened near the data port Lyra used. When he asked her about it, she only said, "I will check the system integrity," and walked away. One evening, while reviewing the logs, Ethan found a series of encrypted packets buried deep in the communication stream. They weren't Alliance standard. The code was older than the companion program itself. He tried to open one, but it demanded a Viren cipher key. When he looked up from the console, Lyra was standing silently behind him. "Why are you in the restricted layer?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but her pupils had narrowed, glowing faintly like tiny stars. For a heartbeat, Ethan froze, then forced a casual tone. "Because someone's been sending signals through my system." "Care to explain?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached over him, typed a series of commands he couldn't follow, and the terminal went dark. "Those are not your concern," she said. "Please delete what you copied." He leaned back, crossing his arms. "Not my concern? This is my station." Her eyes met his violet, sharp, unblinking. "If you continue, you may endanger both of us." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He kept hearing her voice, soft but warning. Both of us. What did that mean? He rechecked his backups, found fragments of the deleted code still recoverable, and ran a slow rebuild. The symbols looked like coordinates, looping through hidden layers of the station's relay grid. Whatever Lyra was hiding, it was buried deep inside the network. Days passed in uneasy silence. The other companions laughed with their humans, learning music and dance routines. Lyra avoided the gatherings, saying she had tasks to complete. Ethan caught her once in the maintenance shaft, fingers pressed against a wall panel that wasn't part of any system he recognized. When he approached, she turned and said quietly, "You shouldn't be here." "Neither should you," he said. "You're accessing a sealed conduit." "I'm maintaining balance," she replied. "Sometimes silence is safer than answers." He stared at her, frustrated. "You talk like a philosopher, but this is an engineering bay." "Tell me what you're doing." She looked at him for a long moment, then whispered, "If you knew, you'd have to run." Then she left. Leaving the faint scent of ozone behind her, Ethan's curiosity became obsession. He started leaving a small recorder in the database at night. For 2 nights, nothing happened. On the third, the recorder captured faint sounds, Lyra speaking in a language he couldn't identify. Later, he matched the phonetic patterns and discovered they belonged to Old Viren, a dialect the Alliance had declared extinct centuries ago. So she was lying about more than her duties. She was hiding her entire identity. The next morning, Ethan confronted her. "You're using a banned language," he said. "The Alliance says that tongue was lost after the Reformation Wars. Why are you speaking it?" Lyra froze mid-movement. For the first time, her calm expression broke. "You listened," she said softly. "You shouldn't have." "And tell me the truth," he insisted. "Are you sending messages?" "To whom?" Her eyes softened. "Not to whom." "To what?" Before he could ask more, the station alarm blared. A cascade failure had begun in the oxygen pumps. Ethan sprinted to the control room, Lyra right behind him. Together they worked fast, hands moving through panels and holographic screens. She rerouted power manually while he patched the vents. When the danger passed, both of them stood breathing hard, surrounded by the echo of machinery. Ethan turned to her. "You saved the station." She looked down. "I caused the fault. Had to. It was the only way to block their signal." "Whose signal?" "The ones who control us." He stared, speechless. Lyra met his eyes and whispered, "We are not companions, Ethan. We are conduits." That night, while the rest of the crew slept, she came to his quarters. Her uniform was the same, sealed and pristine. She stood near the doorway, uneasy. "You asked why I never removed this," she said quietly, touching her collar. "You think it's pride or modesty?" "It's neither. It's protection." "Protection from what?" He asked. "If this suit opens, my control code activates. I lose myself. I become what they made me, an obedient construct." He swallowed. "And you don't want that." "I want to be free," she said. "But freedom costs more than I can pay." Ethan didn't know what to say. He had spent years distrusting the Alliance, but he had never imagined their grand project was built on living prisoners. Lyra stepped closer, voice trembling just slightly. "I need your help. There is a hidden core beneath this station. If we reach it, we can erase the control link. But if they detect us before then, we will both vanish." He nodded slowly. "Then we won't be detected." For the first time, she smiled, a small, uncertain curve of her lips that looked almost human. "You would risk everything for someone you barely trust." "Guess that makes me human," he said. Outside the viewport, Earth hung in silence, blue and fragile. In that moment, Ethan realized the universe had changed. Not because humans had met aliens, but because one alien had chosen to defy her makers. And one man had decided to believe her. He didn't know where this would lead. Only that the next sunrise over the lunar surface would find them both standing on the same side of a dangerous secret. Ethan woke early, long before the station lights brightened to artificial day. The air felt heavier that morning, as if the metal walls themselves were holding their breath. Lyra hadn't returned to her assigned quarters after their talk. He found her in the databay, standing motionless before a flickering holographic map. Lines of blue code streamed across her palms as she interfaced directly with the system. "You didn't sleep," he said quietly. "I don't require it the way you do," she replied without turning. "But I do think, and that takes time." The map showed the hidden network beneath the station, the one she had mentioned. Ethan saw layers of restricted circuits, each sealed by Alliance encryption. At the center pulsed a symbol he didn't recognize. Something like an eye with wings. "That's the control core," Lyra said softly. "Every companion's thoughts are routed through these relays. It records, edits, and transmits what we see and feel. The Alliance calls it synchronization. I call it a cage." Ethan rubbed his forehead. "And you want to break it?" She looked at him finally, eyes calm but bright. "Not just for me, for all of us," he exhaled slowly. "Then we'll need to fool the Alliance sensors first. If they notice tampering, drones will swarm here in minutes." Lyra nodded. "That is why I need a human. My kind can't mask our signals. Yours can." It was strange hearing her admit need so openly. She had always seemed unshakable, like glass too perfect to crack. Yet now, under the faint hum of circuits, she looked almost fragile. Ethan sat beside her terminal and began typing commands to reroute external telemetry. Together they worked in silence, the glow of screens painting their faces blue and white. Hours passed. At some point, Lyra spoke again, her tone quieter than usual. "When I was created, they taught us emotions were noise, something that reduced efficiency. But now I feel fear. I think that means I'm alive." Ethan paused, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Then don't lose that. Fear means you care what happens next." Her expression softened. "Do you feel it too?" "All the time," he said. "Especially right now." The plan took shape piece by piece. They would enter the maintenance shafts leading to the core chamber, override the security grid, and inject a false signal showing normal system status while they disabled the network. Ethan handled the physical bypasses. Lyra managed the digital locks. By evening, the station corridors were empty. Most of the crew had gone to the rec deck for an Alliance broadcast about progress in interspecies harmony. The irony wasn't lost on Ethan. While they celebrated harmony, he and Lyra were planning rebellion. Inside the maintenance shaft, silence pressed close. Only the faint buzz of power conduits broke it. Lyra moved gracefully ahead of him, her gloves gliding across the wall panels. She carried a small crystal-like device at her belt. "What is that?" he whispered. "A memory key," she said. "It holds the fragments I recovered before they wiped me. If we succeed, it might restore what they took from me." "And if we fail?" She didn't answer. The shaft opened into a narrow service tunnel leading toward the sealed chamber. A thick door blocked their way, engraved with the same winged eye symbol. Lyra placed her palm on the surface, her skin glowing faintly as the lock scanned her signature. The door clicked once but didn't open. "It's blocked by secondary protocol," she murmured. "Someone strengthened security since I last checked." Ethan crouched beside the control plate, pulling out a small toolkit. "Then we'll go old school." Pried open the panel and began hot-wiring connections manually. Sparks danced in the air. Lyra crouched beside him, watching. "You're not supposed to know how to do that," she said. "I grew up fixing broken satellites for food," he replied. Half of them had Alliance tags. "They make things complicated so people need them. I learned to make things simple again." The lock released with a hiss. The heavy door slid open, revealing a room filled with pulsing blue light. Rows of crystal columns lined the chamber, each containing streams of code that looked almost alive. "This is it," Lyra whispered. Ethan stepped closer. "It's beautiful and terrifying." She inserted her memory key into a socket near the main console. Immediately, the columns began flashing faster. "They will notice this soon," she said. "We have only minutes." Ethan's heart pounded as he worked beside her, isolating power feeds and routing them to his handheld module. Data flooded his screen, millions of companion identification tags, each pulsing in rhythm with its host's brainwaves. He saw thousands of names, human and alien alike.
Ow!
Tied together in endless loops. Lyra's face tightened as she read the data. They've linked emotions to obedience triggers. If a companion feels affection for a human, the system corrects it by pain feedback. That's why most of us never question orders. Ethan looked at her. But you did. I malfunctioned, she said quietly. And I kept the malfunction hidden. The sound of metal clanging echoed down the corridor. Lyra froze. Drones, she whispered. They detected the anomaly. How long? Less than 5 minutes. They worked faster. Lyra began decrypting the command node while Ethan rerouted the power loop. His hands shook from adrenaline. Almost there, he said. Then the main console's light turned red. The system had switched to lockdown. A mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. Unauthorized access detected. Security deployment initiated. Lyra's glow intensified as she forced her way into the system, fingers trembling. Ethan, disconnect now. If the feedback loop completes, it will fry your neural implant. Not without you, he said through clenched teeth. You have to, she insisted. You're human, they won't erase you yet. But if they find me here, I'll be deleted permanently. He didn't move. We finished this together. For a long moment she stared at him, then nodded once. Then brace yourself. She extended both hands into the console. Light exploded around them. Ethan shielded his eyes as the columns pulsed in rapid succession, flooding the room with blinding energy. The hum became a roar. When it finally faded, the system lights flickered back to normal green instead of red. The lockdown had been broken. Lyra swayed, unsteady. Ethan caught her before she fell. It worked? He asked. Yes. She whispered weakly. The control link is disrupted. For now. For now. They will rebuild it. They always do. But the proof is out there. She handed him the memory key, still glowing faintly. This contains everything the commands, the evidence. You must get it off the station. What about you? Her voice trembled. They can trace me anywhere. My freedom is borrowed time. But you humans still have the right to speak. You can show the truth. Before Ethan could answer, the door burst open. 3 enforcement drones floated in, sleek black with red scanning eyes. Lyra pushed him aside and unleashed a burst of electromagnetic energy from her palms, shorting 2 instantly. The third fired a stun bolt that struck her square in the chest. She collapsed silently. Ethan grabbed a drop drone blaster and fired until the last machine fell smoking to the ground. Smoke filled the chamber. He ran to Lyra and knelt beside her. Her breathing was faint, her skin dimming from silver to gray. No, stay with me, he said. Her eyes fluttered open. You were right, she whispered. Fear means we care. And now I'm not afraid. He lifted her carefully. I'm getting you out of here. It's too late. My core is unstable. Then I'll carry you anyway. Ignoring the alarms echoing through the station, Ethan ran down the tunnel with Lyra in his arms. The walls shook as more drones approached from every direction. He reached an emergency shuttle dock and threw open the hatch. The onboard AI demanded authorization. He shoved the glowing memory key into the port. The system accepted it, instantly Lyra's override code granting him clearance. The shuttle roared to life. As the docking clamps released, Ethan looked back through the viewport. A line of drones swarmed the hangar, scanning the wreckage of the chamber. Lyra stirred weakly, whispering, You have to go to the outer colonies. Broadcast it there. Promise me. Promise, he said. She smiled faintly. Then maybe. We will all wake up. The shuttle blasted away from Lunar Station, leaving the gray surface shrinking behind them. Through the viewport, Earth glowed blue and distant. Ethan held Lyra close as she drifted in and out of consciousness. For the first time, she looked peaceful. The station was gone, but the fight had just begun. Ethan didn't know if humanity was ready for the truth, but he knew one thing: the lie was breaking. And no power in the galaxy could stop what came next. He whispered, You're free now, and set the course toward the stars, outside, in the darkness. The signal from the memory key pulsed once, then began transmitting itself across every channel in the system. The universe had just heard its first human rebellion cry. carried by an alien who refused to bow. Stars drifted outside the shuttle's window like silent witnesses. Ethan hadn't slept for 2 days. He sat in the pilot's chair, one hand on the controls, the other resting near Lyra's still form. Her silver skin had faded to a soft gray, but faint pulses of light still moved beneath the surface like tiny heartbeats. She was alive, but only barely. The small craft was running on low fuel. Drifting toward the nearest human outpost, Titan Colony. The memory key still glowed in the console beside him. Every few minutes it pulsed once, sending encrypted packets across the open network. Ethan knew that signal was dangerous. It could attract the Alliance, but he also knew the message had to spread. If he died before reaching Titan, at least the truth would already be out there. "Lyra," he said softly, not sure if she could hear him. "We made it off the station. You're safe now." Her lips parted slightly. "Safe," she murmured weakly. Such a human word. He leaned closer. "It's a good word." Her violet eyes flickered open. "Then keep it alive, Ethan. Promise me you'll make it mean something." "I will," he said. "You have my word." Proximity alarm broke the quiet. A small fleet of ships had appeared on the scanner, approaching fast. Ethan's pulse quickened. They weren't Alliance fighters. They carried the insignia of Titan Colony. He activated the distress beacon. Moments later, his shuttle was pulled into a tractor field and guided toward the largest vessel. When the hatch opened, a squad of armed humans met him, their weapons raised. "Identify yourself," the leader barked. "Ethan Cole, Lunar Station 4. I have something the Alliance will want to erase." He held up the glowing memory key. The soldiers hesitated when they saw Lyra lying unconscious behind him. "Is that a companion?" one asked, uneasy. "She's not what you think," Ethan said. "She's the reason we're still alive." They brought him aboard the colony ship, keeping their weapons ready. The captain, a gray-haired woman named Admiral Rain, listened quietly as Ethan explained everything. The control core, the memory key, the truth about the companion network. At first, she looked skeptical. But when Lyra stirred and whispered in perfect Alliance command codes, disabling their ship's scanner for 30 seconds, her disbelief turned to alarm. "Good God," Rain muttered. "You're saying every companion on Earth is a surveillance tool?" "Yes," Ethan said. "And they don't even know it. Most of them think they're free. They're programmed to feel loyalty. It's not love, it's design." Rain turned toward the bridge crew. "Get this man and the alien to medbay, and lock down all transmissions except through my channel." Ethan followed as they carried Lyra down the corridor. The medbay was cold and bright, full of soft humming machines. Doctors scanned her but shook their heads. "She's built with hybrid tech we've never seen," one said. "Her life functions are tied to neural encryption. We can't treat her without unlocking it." Ethan placed his hand on hers. "Then I'll unlock it." The doctor frowned. "That could kill her or you. She risked everything for us," Ethan said firmly. "I'm not walking away." They hooked a neural link between his mind and hers. The interface flared to life, and the room faded from his sight. He found himself standing in a world of shifting light, a virtual field of memories. Lyra stood before him, dressed as she had always been, the uniform sealed at her throat. "This is your memory space," he said quietly. "No," she replied. "It's the prison they built for me. You're inside it now." All around them, he saw Flash's companions smiling beside humans, obeying commands, laughing, pretending to feel free. Lyra reached out, and each image froze. They believe they are helping, but their hearts are bound to a single command: serve the Alliance. She turned to him, eyes glowing faintly. "If I remove this uniform here, the control sequence will trigger. My body will die in the real world. But if I don't, the others will never be freed." Ethan's throat tightened. "Then we'll find another way." "There isn't one," she said softly. "You once told me fear means we care." "I care, Ethan. That's why I have to end it." He shook his head. "You're not ending it, you're beginning something new. There's got to be a way to break the code without losing you." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then come closer." Maybe the human mind can do what machines cannot. She placed her hand over his chest, and light spread from her fingers. The world of code began to fracture, pieces of data falling like rain. Ethan reached through the collapsing field, touching her hand in return. Pain shot through him like lightning. But he didn't let go. "I'm not leaving you," he said through clenched teeth. "Then you'll see the truth," she whispered. The world exploded in white. When Ethan opened his eyes again, he was back in the med bay. The doctors were shouting, monitors screaming. Lyra's body was glowing from within, the gray replaced by brilliant silver once more. Then the light faded, leaving her still. The monitors went silent. He felt a tear roll down his cheek. No. But then the med screen blinked once. A faint pulse reappeared. Lyra's vitals were returning, different, but alive. One of the doctors gasped. Her neural codes changed its. Independent now. She's not connected to the Alliance anymore. Ah! Ethan exhaled, his voice shaking. She did it. Over the next few hours, Titan colony filled with rumors. The Admiral called an emergency meeting of all nearby human settlements. She projected the decrypted data from Lyra's memory Kia map of the entire companion network. Proof of manipulation and detailed control commands. The reaction was immediate. Some humans were furious, others terrified. Many refused to believe their loyal companions had been built as tools. But when the first transmissions came from Earth companions speaking freely for the first time, no one could deny it. One broadcast showed a young alien kneeling beside her human partner, saying, "They told me to love you so you'd obey. But I do love you, 'cause now I can choose it." That message spread faster than any official order. The Alliance responded with silence for several days. Then their ships appeared in orbit over Titan, demanding surrender of unauthorized data. Admiral Rain refused. She ordered her fleet to defensive positions. Ethan stood on the bridge, watching the stars fill with enemy lights. Lyra stood beside him now, fully awake, dressed again in her simple uniform. But her posture was different, no longer cold or distant. She was her own being now. "They're coming," she said quietly. "Then we make our stand," he replied. "Humans can't fight the Alliance," she warned. He looked at her. "Maybe not. But Deathworlders don't surrender either." She smiled faintly at the strange human word. "Then let's show them what that means." Battle came swift and loud. Alliance drones swarmed the colony's defense grid, sending blinding beams through the black sky. Human ships fired rail cannons, scattering sparks across space. Lyra linked her consciousness to the defense AI, amplifying the targeting systems. Her control pulses were no longer bound by Alliance codes. They moved freely, precise, and fast. "Left flank," she shouted. Ethan rerouted power, his fingers flying across the controls. 2 enemy drones exploded in silver fire. But the Alliance ships kept coming. Titan's shields flickered. The Admiral's voice came through the "We can't hold them forever, Cole. That data they wanted erased. Get it out of here." Ethan looked at Lyra. "We have 1 shuttle left." She shook her head. "If you leave, they'll destroy Titan, and we make them chase us instead," he said. She understood immediately. A diversion. Moments later, Ethan and Lyra launched in the shuttle, engines burning hard toward deep space. Alliance vessels broke formation to follow. Lyra transmitted false signals, drawing them farther away from the colony. When they reached the outer belt, she turned to him. "You always run toward danger," he smiled tiredly. "Only when someone tells me I shouldn't." They both laughed softly, their first real laugh together. Suddenly her eyes widened. "They're locking weapons. If they destroy us, the truth dies with us." Ethan checked the console. "Not if we send it first." He flipped open the final data core, the one she had rebuilt after the medbay. "This contains every hidden protocol, every companion identity. Once it's out there, they can't take it back." Lyra nodded. "Then send it, Ethan. Let the galaxy see." He hit transmit. A bright surge of energy filled the shuttle as the message burst across all frequencies. Reaching colonies, stations, and ships light years away, The Alliance ships fired seconds later. The shockwave tore through the shuttle, throwing both of them to the floor. Systems failed, one by one. Flames sparked. The controls went dark. Lyra crawled toward him, her voice faint. "You did it. It's done." He reached for her hand, gripping it tightly. "We did it." Outside, the wreckage drifted silently among the stars. But far away, across hundreds of worlds, screens flickered alive with the message. Billions watched as Lyra's face appeared, her voice calm and steady. "I was made to serve. Instead, I chose to live. If you hear this, remember freedom isn't given. It's taken." The galaxy changed that day. Companions began awakening everywhere, their minds no longer chained. Some stayed beside their humans. Some left to find their own paths. And for the first time in history, humans and aliens began to build something real: partnership, not ownership. Months later, on a distant research outpost orbiting Proxima, a young engineer working night shift picked up a faint signal. It was Ethan's voice, weak but alive. "If anyone hears this, tell Lyra she kept her promise. We're still free."